Hi there, welcome back to Not Another Budget. I'm Nicole, and on this channel I'm attempting to cash budget my way out of debt and fix several years of financial misbehaviour. And if that's something you're interested in following along with, please don't forget to stick around and check out the other content that I have created for you on this channel. Now, I have been, in fact, I think I made a video about this back in November, that I was potentially going to relaunch and restart a form of the business that I used to run, which was a bespoke and ready-to-wear costume company that I created from and worked on from home. It was an e-commerce based business. At the time, I was selling on Etsy. Big mistake, because I realised that the type of product that I was making, although on the surface it did suit Etsy's traditional setup, the reality of the fees, the needs of the platform to serve and help me serve my customers, and the way that was set up and operated was not it was not a good mix. When you're working with bespoke and even ready to wear things where people might want them slightly adapted, when you are limited by a platform that you don't run, it can be quite difficult. Now, when that business was making money, it was making a profit, I was earning a monthly income, I'd invested well in stock before I closed it down, I had been able to get it drafted, launched and operated during a global pandemic. I was shipping internationally, I was shipping to creative marketing agencies and people within the film and television industry that I came from, and it was definitely something that it's the first time I'd ever tried, and it scaled far more quickly than I was prepared for, and I equally didn't have the business acumen or the know-how at the time to deal with that properly. So therefore it meant that, I'm going to say it, I got really heartily sick of the bespoke side of the business. I got sick of the customers that the bespoke side brought in. And I'm not saying that if you are a buyer of bespoke items that you have created for you, that you are an absolute pain. You're not. But certainly the buyers that I was dealing with, particularly as well when it's international and when it's clothing and costumes and very complex makes, and complex manufacturing from a garment side of things, it was just that's not where I found my love of the business going. I found that it stifled my creativity, and I woke up one morning and completely shut that business down. I was working with a business mentor at the time, and I just sent him an email and gone, I've had enough, I've closed it. And that's because at the time Etsy had issued another refund for an item that was just basically stuck at customs, shipping to America. It had been stuck at customs for 3 weeks. When an item gets stuck at customs, all you can do is try and communicate with your buyer as much as possible, which I had done. And in the end, the buyer followed their rights, I guess, according to Etsy, and Etsy did an immediate refund. The case, as in terms of a not delivered case, had been opened and closed within about 2 hours US time, so I was asleep, so I woke up to that, and the item was still sat in customs. The item was released from customs a week later, was delivered to the customer who received the item, and I followed the tracking and the shipping all the way through. Who received the item, did not then repay for their item, and got something for about £350, completely free. Etsy did not contact me as the seller. When I then tried to follow up, there was no human that I could speak to resolve it. And at the time, things were getting, like, it's a pandemic. Things were getting stuck and sat in customs. And once Brexit then got involved as well, shipping to Europe, I was then encountering the same things because of the timing-wise Brexit, in terms of our official exit, had occurred. All of my packages, I think, were then basically being flagged. Oh, this is from them. This is from England. Yeah, we're going to just stop and keep these here. C'est la vie. So I just went, that's enough. I've had enough of this. I've had enough of this. I'm done, and closed that business down. But I had I had products that I had cut, so the fabric in their cut form in pieces is useless. I can't do anything with that. I had fabric that was on rolls and needed to be stored. I'd gone ahead and bought notions and trims and was looking at different techniques and what I could start to structure, and all of that I stopped, completely stopped. Didn't go back to needle and thread, didn't go back to my sewing machine for anything other than a repair of my own item that I owned. Just completely stopped, had lost all love for it. But I still have these things, and I have started to miss. And it has taken a year, at least, for me to really miss it and fall back in love with what I used to do. And it was not the bespoke side, it was I'm really intrigued to try this way of making, or I'm really intrigued to see what this fabric does and what result it generates, and then actually, do I like it? And then you tie in the business side. Do I like it? Do I think that this is a marketable product? Do I think that this can be adapted to suit many different body shapes and sizes? Do I feel like this is something that I can get the manufacturing down to a level where a customer is going to pay a price, and it's not going to be hundreds of hours of work. It might only be tens of hours of work. But actually, the core thing where that started was that I really want to see creatively what happens here. So with that in mind, I've still got all of these things. I've still got the materials, I've still got the notions, I've still got the pre-cut products, I've still got the experimental products that I'd started creating and drafting. I've still got the sewing patterns that I would use as a base template and then adapt. I have still got the original designs that I created, and they've just been sat dormant. If I then tie in where I then was, I folded that business. I closed that business, I should say, in February 2023. No, I closed that business in February 2022. So we're going back 2 years now. And I started the channel in September 2022. Where it stands now, and you guys have followed my budgeting journey, quite a few of you from day one, I've come to the realization from about November, and this is bringing it back round to that early video. I've started to realize that in November, it was, if I want to pay down debt faster, I could probably do with getting in some extra income. I'm sitting on all these things for a business. Okay, that's an interesting conundrum. Okay, I'm very, very well stocked to pick that up and restart it with minimal financial input from myself. Interesting conundrum there. Then we moved to throughout November and into December, and you all by now know the story with my cat and his immediate kind of shoot up of my budget from £60 a month to £300 a month with his meds and his food now, because he's an unhealthy cat. So then it becomes a case of, right, okay, if I even put the debt and paying off extra debt to one side and working a debt snowball really effectively, I need to get extra income in so I can comfortably cover this, plus my bills, plus a 5-week month. And then I can start to think about debt and savings, but I'm not even at that point now. I'm just here. So I've started to run a narrative of the numbers don't lie. As long as you're doing your maths correctly, the numbers don't lie to you, and they don't have an opinion. They just tell you what is. And I've started to see a pattern where every time I have drafted a budget, realistically an extra £400 to £600 a month, excluding any student loan payments which are coming in January and April, would just make things a little bit less tight. Okay, because I am now having to look at and make the choice of I treat my cat and feed my cat, or I pay down my debt faster. And I was really starting to get that dopamine buzz, and I was really starting to see the benefit of the debt snowball and all of the tick boxes in terms of like, oh my gosh, this works. I was really starting to get that and get on that train, and the brakes have been forced on me. And I do believe that things happen for a reason, and I think this might have been why, because I realistically would have pushed carried on pushing the business and the thought of that to one side. And actually, I do still want to carry on with the debt snowball, and I would like to plug some money into savings. And if my cat is going to be significantly ill but lead a good life, and I need to buy these things for him, I don't want to be thinking about my cash flow purely around that and making sure that I just want to be able to order his meds and not look and go, when am I going to have when's the best time in the month to order his meds to pay for them? I just want to order his meds, and I just want to order his food. And then if he doesn't like the food or he goes off it, because it's a vet prescribed food and he needs to try another alternative, which is more expensive, I just want to be able to order it and not worry. And if he needs a food topper because the tablet he's taking is really, really bitter and he won't eat his food, then the food topper is 20 quid. I just want to be able to buy the food topper and not think about it. And then I'd really like to, if I go back to my goals, stuff the 5k binder this year and get that like done and have that cushion in place. I really want to pay off some of those smaller debts because they're small and annoying and frustrating. And I don't want to get on the phone and set up a minimum for like a £100 debt. I just want to pay it. So with that in mind, I'm restarting the business in some form. Now, why do I do this to myself? At the minute, I have fallen into the trap of coming home from a hard day's teacher training and sitting on the sofa and doing not much else apart from eating and watching TV and doing some computer gaming, and then scrambling over the weekend to catch up on the work that I need to be doing because I am tired. I knew that I would get tired, but actually I need to be a little bit wiser with how I'm allocating and spending my time. And if I'm now going to add this in as well, I definitely need to be a bit smarter about how I go about this. So I've written myself some notes. And you're going to experience these notes with me because sometimes I do have to give myself a bit of an old school telling off and a reminder. And there are things that I can do to help this. Now, there's an awful lot of prep and work that goes into creating products like this. They are a time intense product that can then sell very quickly, and I was able to make up 5 items which were my testers in October and list them on Vinted for the amount that I wanted to sell them for, and they all sold very, very quickly. Unfortunately, because of November being an absolute unit show of a month, I wasn't able to maintain that. But I know I have tested a platform which I am happy and comfortable selling on, Vinted. I know that my products will perform on that platform, Vinted, and I know that I can get the price that I want to, which means that actually I can price them reasonably and not have to factor in Etsy's exorbitant and very confusing fee structure. Win-win. But as of this Thursday coming, I break up for the December break. I am off for just under 2 weeks, so that is an opportunity for me to make up stock from the pre-cut items that I talked about earlier. I have cleared my schedule and cleared my workload to the point where I don't need to do any schoolwork over December, which is going to be wonderful. I can actually have a break. But because the weather is atrocious and I'm really, really rural, and even on the day I'm filming, I think last Sunday we had storms and it knocked the power out. Today we've got really horrendous high winds, which I'm really hoping the power doesn't go out so I can get all these videos filmed and uploaded. If we don't get to 17 videos by the end of tonight, we know why. But it means that at the minute, all of the stock that is pre-made is in my house. In fact, it's in a cupboard just to the left of this camera. It's all pre-made up, pre-cut. It needs to be made into something so I can sell it in its cut form. It's worthless to anyone. And I've got a good 2-week window to do that. But all of the fabric in the garage, which is the rest of my supplies and notions, it all lives in the garage. The stuff in the garage is really nice and shiny and pretty, and it's sparkly and it's wonderful, and it's soft and velvety and silky and satiny, and it's everything if you love fabric that you want from a fabric store. I can't be a magpie and I can't go play in the garage until I have made this up. Realistically as well, do I want to go and stand outside and battle the cold and the rain with the garage door open and a light that doesn't work while I try and work around a garage, which is a bit of a death trap, I will be honest, because I can't get in there and finish sorting it. So in terms of the organisation and how I manage this, I need to make up the stuff that's pre-cut first, then move on to the fabric in the garage. And that's when I can really start developing that. Realistically, in terms of time frame, that might be a February half-term job. when I have that next week. In terms of spending, I'm pretty well stocked for most things, and I need to try and think out of the box as well, or outside of the box as well, in terms of the notions and supplies that I have. And if then I've tried all of my outside of the box solutions and ideas and nothing's worked, then I have a maximum of £20 per month that I'm going to put towards this business. I don't need to pay for any website or hosting fees. I don't need to pay for any marketing. It's just very much going to be natural traffic that I sell through. There is an element of seasonality as well to the business, which is why realistically I don't anticipate an income from the business in January. So all of my time that I do spend that I've allocated towards it will be put on making, photographing and getting all those details down. But if I have to reinvest anything out of the business takings, it's a maximum of £20 a month, and that is because I do have enough. I have enough fabric. I have to tell myself this every time. I have enough fabric, and if I'm creative with how I use the buttons and the notions and the hooks and the eyes and all of the supplies, I can manage it. I just need to think outside of the box sometimes, and I get distracted by shiny pretty things. In terms of the hours, now, and this is linked to my targeted income, so we might as well talk about this together. I ideally need to generate £400 to £800 per month. 400 takes it down to the lean end. It covers all of my bills. It covers a small extra debt payment. It doesn't cover any savings. If I push it to £800 a month, and there is seasonality within this as well, then actually I can pay off my debt a little bit faster. I can save a little bit more, and all of the bills are still comfortably covered. Now, to earn anywhere from £400 to £800 a month in the UK, it's a 16 to 20 hours, or realistically a 16 to 25 hour part-time job that I would need to be taking on if I wanted to earn that through other means. So what I have said to myself is 16 to 20 hours across each week is what I will spend. And if that's a couple of hours hand sewing on the sofa in front of a TV in the evening to wind down, that's how it will be spent. If that's a day taken out of my weekend to get a load of sewing pushed through, if it's half an hour here or there to do some photographs, that's entirely down for me to organise week on week around my school schedule, because my school training has to come first. That is going to generate me long term more income, and this is just something that I have extra, but this is my list of prompts for me before I even get started. And then just other notes: use the school breaks, so the half term, the Easter holidays, things like that, to build up the bulk of the stock, organise materials and supplies, and work around school hours and my training schedule. That is going to obviously vary week on week, so how I choose to spend the 16 to 20 hours will vary. And then in terms of how I take the income, whether I choose to take it monthly or weekly or daily, is going to be entirely up to me and whatever my budget is doing at the time. I don't have that information yet, but as I've said, the numbers don't lie, and the numbers are telling me realistically this is the golden ratio of what I need. In terms of as well, just little things like income for August and September. I will receive no bursary payments in August, and I will receive no income until the end of September. So I ideally need something that's going to generate me some form of income for 2 months. Now, whether that chooses and needs to be funded out of my 5k binder or not, I'm not sure yet, but that's why ideally I need to have something built up and ready to go and be rolling by then. So it is going to be busy. This is the reality of being a solo person household, and covering everything yourself. Or should I say a solo earner household. I'm not going to say solo income, because you can be a solo earner and have multiple forms of income. A solo earner household, this is very much the reality of it. £2,000 a month, which is what I've been bringing in, is perfectly healthy. It's definitely healthy if you've also got someone bringing an income in as well, and then all of this is accounted for. But realistically, that's not the case. So I need to cover those extras as well. And look, if I didn't want to be clearing down my debt, and if I didn't want to be putting money aside for savings, then actually this wouldn't even be a video, because it wouldn't be bought up or bought in. Those are things that I've set and I want to do for myself, and I have got to get there somehow. So I will check in with you guys at certain points. It may not be a regular feature. It very much depends what's going on a month by month basis. But if I obviously do generate any earning from this, you will see that reflected in the budget. that's all for now. I am going to go off and film another video. So I'm going to love you and leave you and see you all very, very soon. Have a fantastic budgeting week wherever you are in the world, and bye-bye for now.